Hello, beautiful collectives out there. Welcome to my channel, Astro Cheryl. And this is your monthly forecast for November 2025. Okay, we're already at the end of the year, but we're still in Scorpio season, and there's a lot of Scorpio energy out there. So there's a lot of reveal. You know, Scorpio is mysterious, but the revealing of the false truths are coming out in the open. So just be aware that, you know, the untruths, the lies, the underhanded hate is showing up. And that way, that energy can be dealt with. We have a full moon that's coming up on the 5th, and it's a super full moon, and it's in the sign of Taurus. And Taurus is about agriculture and about finances. But here in the U.S., we can see the breakdown of our governmental system and the those people who are in need of extra help for food and subsidy. So that is opening up and crumbling out into the open. But then on a personal note, those who are those people who have been deceitful, deceiving, and out to hide their feelings towards another person is coming out in the open. Okay, and that energy that's coming out has to be dealt with. Okay, so that's the purpose of it being shown. That's why the veil is thin now, so that each individual can see what it is that you're doing and what it is that has been done to you. Now, those people who have been done to, you'll get to see how this karmic energy plays out, because all of that negative energy that has been thrown at you by, you know, people you don't know, is being returned to sender. Okay, and it's once it's returned to its sender, it has to be dealt with. Okay, so anyway, as I said before, this is your monthly reading for November. Now, as we get into the month, we have Mars entering Sagittarius on the 4th. And we have that super full moon on the 5th. And Venus moves into Scorpio on the 6th. Uranus is retrograding back to Taurus at that 29 degrees on the 7th. And Mercury turns retrograde in Sagittarius on the 9th. Jupiter turns retrograde in Cancer on the 11th. Mercury turns retrograde, I just said that. The new moon in Scorpio is at 28 degrees, and that's on the 19th. And Saturn in Pisces is stationing direct on the 27th, and then Mercury turns direct on the 29th. So with all of the retrogrades that are happening now, this is turning you inward to look at those areas in your life that needs to be refurbished or cleansed, I will say. Okay, Now, a lot of you may not be ready to face your fears because that's exactly what's happening in this Scorpio energy. It's a lot of fear-based energy that is showing up. But when you face your fears and you deal with what it is that's coming up for you, then over time, you'll be able to take a step up in your vibration. So, with all of this energy happening, especially with Uranus, it is like an electric energy where things happen all of a sudden. But while it's in retrograde, it won't act as fast as it would normally act if it was in its forward motion. So I just want to say that those people who are out there who are trying to hurt, cause pain, trauma to another person, all of that is coming back to you. And a lot of times people cannot take what they dish out. They can't handle it. So are you ready to handle what you are dishing out? That is up to you. And now it's time for me to get into the forecast for the month. So I will see you on the other side. Hello and welcome to my channel, Astro Cheryl. And this is your monthly forecast for Sagittarius rising. Welcome. Okay, now we're going to get right into your forecast. I did an intro about the highlights, so you can, check that out if, you want to know about the highlights. Okay, so we're going to start with the 3rd. On the 3rd, we have Mars in Scorpio trining retrograde Neptune in Pisces, and this is happening in your 12th house and your 4th house. Now, a beautiful trine this is. It's like a gift from God. And by this being in your 12th house and affecting your 4th house, just sit back and relax because a lot of the work is already working in your favor. Okay? And this is about releasing unconscious patterns because we are in the working the hidden side and the ancestral sides of areas of your chart. However, it depends on the degrees in your chart where this is actually taking place. The closer degrees are in your chart to what's actually happening is going to determine how much of this is going to be affecting you. Okay, so we have Mars and Scorpio in your 12th house, okay? And this is the house of hidden and where you retreat, your self-undoing. This is your unconscious space. This is where karma is. This is where those old patterns collect from your ancestry as well. Now, the 4th house is about your roots. It's about your security, your physical place of living. This is your sacred private place. And it also represents your real estate, your, family, and your children, your husband, children, wife, children, that kind of private place. Okay, so as I said before, it's a beautiful trine, so just sit back and release your fears because Scorpio have a tendency to hold on to fears and let go of any control pictures that you may be experiences, because Scorpio also is about control. Okay, and this is a natural place for Neptune and Pisces to be. This is a spiritual connection here where you get to go dive deep with Neptune and Pisces, working through this energy. So this influence suggests that your inner powers, subconscious motivations, and spiritual sensitivities work together harmoniously. Yay! You may feel the need to pursue compassionate goals, healing work, or spiritual practices related to home, family, or your ancestral roots. You may be taking an inward review of your spiritual and emotional foundations as well. Okay? So, good for you, because this is a place of release where you can just really let go of things that are no longer serving you. And it also opens up the mind to other possibilities, greater possibilities. Okay, so on the 4th, we have Mars entering Sagittarius, and this is happening in your first house of self. Okay, this is how you are seen by other people, and this is how you perceive yourself. It's your package. How you look, how you feel, how you dress, how you communicate, how you think, all of that is you, first house. Okay? And it's in the sign of Sagittarius. So we have Mars, fiery, and Sagittarius, they're both fire signs, but Sagittarius is more optimistic and freedom loving. And Mars is about taking charge, being in control, initiating things. Okay? So this influence suggests that your physical energy is high, and you may have a thirst for adventure and expand your horizons through learning or travel. You may be impatient, hasty decision. You may make hasty decisions, and your speech can be blunt at times. And that blunt speech is a quality of Sagittarius. Okay, so on that same day, we have Mars in Sagittarius in your first house in an opposition to retrograde Uranus in the sign of Gemini, and this is happening in your 7th house. And your 7th house is about your one-on-one relationships, your business partners, your legal contracts, your open enemies, and marriage and divorce. Okay? So this opposition is about, push and pull kind of situation. And when we have oppositions and squares, but in this case, this is an opposition, is meant for us to learn from so that we can grow into, our more authentic self. Okay? So this can cause some pain, physical pain, or, something that disrupts your life and changes it, and all of a sudden, and you didn't know that it was going to happen, that kind of thing. But it's Uranus is in retrograde, and sometimes things are slowed down, okay? But nevertheless, it's here, and it's not going to stay in retrograde all the time. So during this time, you may have an intense desire for your independence and assertive self-identity, okay? Conflicts or sudden changes in your close partnerships based on your need for freedom or individuality is possible. You know how, some people have these life changes and, want to go and chase something else. And then when they get out there, then it doesn't seem to be what they thought it would be, and that can be life changing. Okay, so we're going to move on to the 5th, where we have the full moon in the sign of Taurus, a fixed sign, stubborn, doesn't like change. And this is happening in your 6th house of routine, your daily routine, your health, your work, your being of service, and your co-workers as well. So this influence is good for releasing any limitations or blocks around your work habits, wellness, and the structure of your day. Okay, it's a good time to declutter physically and mentally, organize your environment, and break free from any work or health related stresses that's holding you back. Okay, so it's time to release and let go of things in your 6th house sector that may be, keeping you from moving forward. So on the 6th, we have Jupiter in Cancer, and it's a trine. And again, this is like, something special, a gift. Retrograde Saturn in the sign of Pisces. Okay, and this is happening in your 8th house and your 4th house. And your 8th house is, where was I? Where was I? I thought it was on the 6th. Yeah. I apologize. I got lost. Okay, so your 8th house is about your rebirth and death and rebirth, that transformative energy. It's about shared resources, inheritances, other people's money, psychological process. This is a psychic house as well, and it's a deep control type house. It's hard to understand the 8th house because it's such an esoteric house. But anyways, banking is a part of this house as well. So your 4th house is about your private space, your family, and we've talked about that already. So let's see, this influence flows harmoniously because it is a trine. Your emotional foundation and your transformation or joint resources are flowing, are integrating very well. It supports constructive and restructuring or growth in your family or emotional matters. It's a beneficial time for healing old wounds related to family, heritage, or inherited patterns. It can bring financial stability through inherited or shared resources as well. Okay, so this, when the trine happens, you don't always have to do anything, but with it being in your, let's see, I don't want to get lost again, your 8th house and your 4th house, you may have to step up and communicate, and, make some small adjustments in your life to accommodate, the energy that is happening for you at this time. So on the same day, the 6th, we have Venus in Scorpio squaring. Now the squaring creates tension as well. And this again is something that we need to learn from. And it's squaring Jupiter in Cancer. Okay? So we're talking about the 12th house and the eighth house. And these are both esoteric houses. You know, I just spoke about the eighth house, and I think we went into the 12th house as well. Yeah, we did. So with this 12th house and 8th house energy that's transformative and that you're self-undoing, and these houses are about, you know, psychic energy, karma energy there, things that are unseen, things that are hidden. So this transit creates tension between your inner emotional slash spiritual world and the expansive, which is Jupiter, nurturing Cancer, emotional needs within your intimate bonds, okay? You may experience emotional turbulence, inflated desires, or challenges in balancing your personal solitude and boundaries with deep emotional connections. Okay, so this does run deep. There may be struggles with your emotional dependence, insecurity, or the balance of giving versus receiving in relationships. Okay, so there is that the 12th house, and Jupiter in Cancer is in your 8th house, okay? Venus in Scorpio is in your 12th house. Now, again, this is a place where you can go and start to release what no longer serves you because you're already operating behind the veil. So take this opportunity to, you know, let go of what no longer serves you. Okay? So let's move on to the 7th. We have retrograde Uranus in Taurus, and this is happening in your 6th house of health, daily routines, being of service, your co-workers, and your work. All right? And again, we have quite a few retrogrades happening this month. Mercury, Uranus, Saturn, Neptune. And it could be another one, but I I've lost contact. And this just decided it just wants to fall off me. Now, what a way to go. So now that means I got to hold my my transmitter until I finish this. All right, so the 6th house. This influence encourages you to break free from old limiting patterns, especially related to work and your wellness. You may experience sudden changes in your job or how you approach your daily tasks, pushing towards your unconventional work setups or innovative solutions. And that's because Uranus is sudden changes and it's, you know, about freedom and aligning yourself with your higher self. Okay, so you may be inspired to explore alternative healing methods, new diets, or wellness practices that feel unconventional but rejuvenating. Okay? Reflect on and revise your work habits, routines, and health strategies. Okay? Now, on the 9th, we have retrograde Mercury in the sign of Sagittarius, and this is happening in your first house. Okay, and we talked about the house of self. So this is a time you may rethink your personal style, communication methods, and your overall approach to life. Now, you know retrogrades are all about revise, reflect, review. It's not about moving forward, okay? So rethinking is a good approach. Okay, you may feel tempted to change your outward appearance on how you come across to others. However, this is the time to do some research and reflect rather than make sudden changes. So be careful here on the 9th. This influence also supports mental clarity and creativity. Great. So on the 11th, this is a special number, 1111. Okay, it's about some divine timing. And we have Jupiter turning retrograde in the sign of Cancer in the 8th house. And you know, Cancer in the 8th house, um, Cancer is about family, and the 8th house is about um, transforming. Let's put it that way, transformation, along with other concepts as well. But transformative energy is here. And we've talked about the 8th house already. So it invites you to slow down because this is retrograde, reflect on past emotional experiences, okay, and that's Cancer's energy, and revisit unresolved issues around intimacy, shared finances, or deep psychological patterns. This could be a time for emotional healing and reassessing your relationship with power and control, and trust in close relationships. Okay, you have to trust, and that's one of the shortcomings of 8th house Scorpio energy. Trust is has to be earned. Okay, it's a good time to focus on forgiveness and release the old baggage. This can bring windfalls, gains through partnerships, or a boost in your understanding of the give and take. Okay, you may feel more generous and emotionally open, and a desire to nurture and support with that Cancer energy here. All right, so let's move on to the 19th. We have the new moon in the sign of Scorpio. This is water, and it's happening in your 12th house, the house of self undoing, the house of retreat, the house of hidden enemies, the house of karma, the house of unconscious energy. Okay, so this is a time to turn inward. It's in your 12th house anyway. All right, embrace solitude and engage in shadow work. That means confronting your fears, traumas, and hidden emotions that are buried. That's the shadow work, okay? You may have vivid dreams and heightened intuition at this time. You may feel a strong urge to withdraw from external chaos and focus on inner transformation, which is a good thing, focusing on you, working on your purpose, working on ridding yourself of things that no longer serving you or things that wasn't yours to hold on to in the first place. Okay, so on the 22nd, we have the sun entering Scorpio, and this is happening in your first house. Wait a minute, I said that all wrong. The sun enters Sagittarius, and this happens in your first house. Okay, so you are Sagittarius rising. This influence brings you more self-confidence and a stronger sense of who you are becoming, along with the natural radiance and leadership presence. That's that sun energy. You have a bold, enthusiastic approach to new beginnings and life directions. You have a thirst for freedom, growth, truth seeking, and expansive experiences. You may be drawn to explore new philosophies, travel, or broaden your perspectives. Great. Then on the 27th, we have Saturn stationing direct in the sign of Pisces. This is happening in your 4th house of home, your private sector. Okay? This transit may involve reassessing and restructuring your living situation or family dynamics. This relationship with your mother may be a challenge, or you may have feelings of isolation within your family, or delays and responsibilities around property or your domestic life. This is the time to face your emotional reality with maturity and redefine what home means to you and build lasting security through both psychic and practical means during this transit. Now, I want to say, Saturn is direct. However, it's in its shadow. So when it's in its shadow, it's still operating as if it was in retrograde. So it's going to take about another week before it actually move out of its shadow, and then it'll truly be stationed direct. Okay? So on the last day is the 29th that I'll discuss here, and that's Mercury station direct in Scorpio, and this is happening in your 12th house. So this transit brings a deep mental focus on hidden, subconscious, or spiritual matters. You may naturally seek out what's true and know you are being urged to uncover your hidden truths. You may have enhanced intuitive and perceptive abilities, psychic energy, and you may sense unaligning motives of others, subconscious patterns, unspoken emotions. All of that you'll be able to see more clearly. Your communication during this time might be more inward, okay, or happen in private places or behind the scenes, okay? And, that's part of Scorpio energy, is being calculating and strategic. All right, Sagittarius rising. This is your forecast for November 2025. And until next time, bye for now. Okay, we're doing Capricorn. We did Sagittarius. Now let me see if I can. How did that happen? I don't even know. Can we put it back together? Things just fall apart. Just fall apart whenever it wants to. I don't know what happened on these two things. I think. But anyway, I can't do anything about it right now. So I gotta go move on.